and welcome back to Lady Jane Books. Today, I'm doing the New York Times tag. It is a gray and dreary day here. It has not stopped raining since I woke up. It's just rainy, it's miserable, it's kind of humid, so it's still a little sticky, but it just has not stopped raining for the past 3 days, and I'm over it. So today I decided to cuddle up and do a tag video. I was tagged to do this by John over at Hey Y'all Listen Up. Thank you so much, John, for tagging me. The Lady of Tags is quite happy to do the New York Times tag. So let's get started. Number 1, what book is on your nightstand? There are many things on my nightstand, but a book ain't one of them. But in all seriousness, I try to keep my surroundings very neat and tidy, so that means I don't usually leave books or things out. I like to have my surfaces really clear, and that includes my nightstand. So I think the only thing on my nightstand is the lamp and a clock, and that's it. And quite frankly, I don't really read in bed. This is getting personal. Wow. And quite frankly, I do read before bed, but usually I read like on my couch before bed, not in bed. So I don't really have an answer for that. I don't have any books on my nightstand. That's a very personal question. I'm a little bit like scandalized by that, to be honest. Yeah. Number 2, what was the last truly great book that you have read? Hands down, it has to be Cold Comforts by Marian Halbert. I went on and on about this book in my last video, so if you want to hear more thoughts on it, go check out that video. But oh my goodness, I loved it. It was a quiet horror, it was creepy, unsettling, a fantastic short story collection. So I definitely have to go with Cold Comforts by Marian Halbert. Number 3, if you could meet any writer, alive or dead, who would it be and what would you want to know about them? I would love to have a sit-down conversation with Stephen King. I would love to hear about his writing process, how he comes up with these really disturbing, creepy stories. 1000%, I have to answer the king of horror, Stephen King, for this one. Number 4, what books would we be surprised to see on your bookshelves? I have the collection of 50 Shades of Grey. I have read the first installment of the 50 Shades of Grey series. I didn't particularly like it. I feel like there are other books that are similar that are way better in my opinion. So I did buy all of them together in bulk, but I never actually finished the series. But I think what's more shocking is that I have a much bigger collection of dark, spicy books that I have acquired over time. And 50 Shades of Grey is just one tiny part of that. So I think if someone saw my entire collection of these really spicy, darker, kind of controversial books, then they would be a little bit surprised. Number 5, how do you organize your bookshelves? I do it a couple of ways. It depends on the space and it depends on what look I'm going for. I have organized them in a rainbow bookshelf where all my read and unread books are all together, and it's purely by color. It's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Wonderful. And it looks great, but it's kind of hard to find a book that I'm specifically looking for. The other way that I do it is actually the system that I have in the bookshelf that I'm living with now. I have done a bookshelf tour. If you want to see this in action, I will link it in the cards and in the description. But I basically divide up my books by type. So first I'll have read and unread books separated, and then I'll have them subdivided into the types. So then hardback, big paperback, small paperback. And then I'll do the same for the other side, and it just looks better. I like it when they're all the same height and kind of the same width, and just they're all grouped together. And that makes finding books that I want to read much easier on my bookshelves. Number 6, what book have you always meant to get around to but never actually read? And is there any book that you are embarrassed that you have not read yet? For the first part of this question, I definitely have to go with Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Every year around Halloween, I swear to myself that I'm gonna read Salem's Lot this year. This is the year it's gonna happen. And it just never does. And rinse and repeat year after year. So I have to go with Salem's Lot for a book that I've wanted to read but just never got around to. And then for a book that I'm embarrassed that I haven't read yet, I'm going with The Picture of Dorian Gray. Oh my goodness, this is another one that I've wanted to read, and I don't know why I haven't yet. It's a very short book. I've heard it's very good, it's very creepy. So what's the holdup, Jane? But this is a book that I think is more like a classic horror, and I'm really excited about it. I've always wanted to read it, but I just haven't yet, and I really should, and I'm super embarrassed that I haven't gotten around to it yet. Number 7, what book did you read that you feel like you were supposed to like, but didn't? I have to go with The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I have tried Holly Black's books, and I know she has a really, really strong fan base around her work, and I'm all for that. I love to see it, but I've tried several of her books, and they're just not for me. I think that Holly Black goes for kind of like darker fairy tale type of stories, and I love that in concept. I love like twisted fairy tales and, you know, this very whimsical, like creepy atmosphere. I tried to read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and I didn't care for it. It just seemed to really drag for me and didn't hold my attention. And I also tried In the Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black, which is supposed to be kind of like this mystical fairy tale type of story, and both of them just dragged for me. I didn't like it. I wasn't connected to the characters. Yes, she can write a setting very, very beautifully, and I get really excited about the idea of reading these type of twisted fairy tales, but when it comes to actually reading them, they were just so-so for me. Don't like them, probably won't try any more of Holly Black's work, unfortunately. Number 8, what kind of stories are you drawn to, and what type of stories do you shy away from? I like anything that's dark, creepy, and disturbing. I like smart stories. I like stories that make you think and they don't reveal everything at once. I like books that make you work for it in a way. I think that's why I really liked Cold Comforts by Marian Halbert, because she has those elements to her story where some things are very ambiguous. You have to work them out in your mind, or they're really up to the reader to interpret. I love it when a book does that in a very smart way. Love those type of stories. I also like really spicy stories. I like darker, spicy books that are a little problematic, but whatever. As for stories that I steer clear from, I do not like goody-goody feel-good stories. Nope, we don't want that here at Lady Jane Books. We don't want, you go to the Hallmark Channel for that type of crap. I'm not here for it. I don't like feel-goods. I don't like wholesome things. I don't like soft, romantic, loving things. I like the dark, creepy, disturbing stuff. Bring me that type of thing. Keep your Hallmark to yourself. Number 9, if you required the president to read one book, what would it be? I definitely would require them to read Nickeled and Dimed. I believe that this was written in the mid-90s, and it was in response to the Welfare Reform Act, I believe. And it's about economic hardship that many Americans faced at that time. And sadly, some of the information is still very relevant to today. It was very eye-opening. It was very interesting to read. I loved how the author wove in her own story with the message that she was trying to research. I loved it. I think it's really interesting and very eye-opening. And number 10, what do you plan to read next? I am so glad that you asked this, John. Oh my goodness, you basically read my mind. This is the perfect opportunity to tell you that I am going to be doing a buddy read with Steve Talks About Books and Stuff. we will be buddy reading Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. I have been eyeing this book for the past year. It sounds so good. It's really creepy. I've heard it's very emotional and very draining on the reader, so I'm for it. I heard that Crossroads is about a woman who loses her child. I believe it's her son, and the grief makes her do some really intense things and does some really surprising things. And I think the whole message of the book is how far would you go for a loved one that you've lost. It sounds really good. I've heard it's very creepy, very unsettling. I'm so excited to read Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. Now we're in the very early stages of discussing when we're going to do this buddy read, but I've already purchased it. I'm really excited about it, and I'm going to dive into Crossroads by Laurel Hightower very soon. When I get more information about date and time for the live show, I will announce it, but I just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek to that information. I want to thank John again for tagging me in this. This was so much fun. I had a great time, and I want to tag some people. I'm tagging Nerdy Nat Reads, Greener Side of Sam, and Reading and Whatnot. Before we wrap up, I wanted to also announce that I have decided what I'm doing to celebrate my 1-year booktube anniversary. I have decided to do an Ask Me Anything. I'm so excited for this. This is going to be so much fun. I had a great time doing my 200 subscriber Ask Me Anything. So I decided to do another special and let you guys ask me anything. It can be literally anything. It does not have to be booktube related. It could be anything you desire to ask. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a live show discussion yet or if I'm going to pre-record it. Not sure on those details yet. But I would love to give you guys the opportunity to ask me anything. And I'm so excited to do this as my thank you for 1 year on BookTube. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hello? Number 1. What book is on your, what is it, bedside? Nights? Huh. Guys, jeez. It's getting a little personal up in here. Ooh. Ah. Number 1. I'm just gonna say there are a lot of things on my nightstand, but a book is not one of them. Oh gosh, Jane. Don't say that, that's horrible. Oh God. But in all seriousness, I feel like I'm lopsided today. I don't know. Number 3, if you could read a writer? No. Jane, that's so dumb. Don't say that. Read a writer? No. Number 3, if you could, I almost said read a writer again. No, I don't want to read writers. That's weird. Number 4, what books would we be surprised to see on your bookshelves? 50 Shades of Grey? I have the whole series. No, but I do own 50 Shades of Grey. I only read the first one and it was very tame. I didn't care for it at all. So, I do own them. I did read the first one and I didn't particularly like it. It just didn't feel very polished or well-rounded for me. Not that it's supposed to be polished or well-rounded, Jane. That's the whole point of it, but okay. I have read the first installment of 50 Shades of Grey, and I didn't particularly care about it. Care about it? Well, why would you care about it, Jane? That sounds strange. And as for types of stories that I steer clear... Number 9. If you required a president... What? Sounds weird.